Hi, welcome back. Today we are going to begin a series called Intuitive Painting, and it is one of my favorite things to do in the art studio, so I'm very excited to share it with you. Throughout these videos, we'll explore all different types of expressive forms of mark making and also various materials throughout the process. And these materials will give you a little familiarity to the kind of things that we will be using to make art throughout the year. This entire video series is a self-guided journey where you will make art as a response to your intuition. The idea is to help you listen to your creative voice and to build your confidence as an artist. So we're not going to plan these things out. Instead, we make a mark and intuitively respond to that mark and really start to create a flow. Drawing can be defined as an arrangement of line and mark within a space, but it has a variety of purposes. Drawing is really a very powerful language that can express things that we really can't communicate in any other way, like emotions and ideas and memory. It's a common misconception that drawing is only something that is descriptive, which means recreating reality by drawing something realistic, like a portrait of a person or a landscape. But that's not all drawing is, and that kind of definition and understanding of drawing can be limiting and very intimidating to begin with. So it's so much more than that, and I hope that with these videos, we can touch on that human instinct and our desire to draw, to create and to feel and communicate without words. So I want you to throw out rules and theory for now and instead start to develop your own visual language, your own expression. I want you to be energetic. I want you to move around. I want your whole body involved in this process because it's all about tuning into your creative and intuitive voice and create a workable relationship also with that inner critic, and I'm going to talk about that a lot. So interpret these prompts in your own way as you see fit with the materials that are appropriate to you, make it work for yourself, and let's start exploring. Now we are going to prepare your workspace. So for my example, I chose 3 pieces of canvas paper, but you can also use watercolor paper or basically anything that's strong that can take to the paint. You can do 1 large piece, 3 pieces like I did, or even small cut up pieces. It really doesn't matter. Do whatever you feel will work best. Tape down your work so it doesn't warp with the paint that's going to be applied. You can also make sure that your area is covered so that as you're painting, it doesn't get any paint stains on it because we will be getting messy. So also make sure it's something you can come back to tomorrow without having to clean up and set up every single day. We are going to be working for a week. Now we are going to get your materials out and ready. For my project, I used pencil, charcoal, pen, paint markers, oil pastels, acrylic, and a ink spray. As you prepare your paint materials, limit your palette with a harmonious blend of colors and maybe 1 complementary accent color. We will have lots of energetic words and movement and prompts, so including the entire spectrum of color will get a little bit chaotic. So breaking it down to colors that are next to each other in the color wheel and maybe 1 accent will really help save you some time and keep your work a little bit more contained as we start to get wild with our prompts. We are going to explore all types of mark making, so getting different materials that will make an interesting mark will add to your final project. For example, you can do things like Q-tips or kebab sticks to scratch into, any kind of plastic wrap. Bubble wrap is really interesting for texture. I use old gift cards and a toothbrush and combs. Also, cardboard has an interesting texture to it, and I also use the cardboard with rubber bands to make a stamp. If you've got any kind of stencil, this is also a great thing to add to your intuitive painting. Now we are going to begin making some marks on your page with line. And I like to call this section letting your lines dance. So you create lines with graphite, a marker, maybe a charcoal pencil. So now we're going to see what lines do as they meander over your page. Let them overlap over each other and dance with each other. Make a motion across your space and let it be large, let it be gestural and free. Take up a good portion of your paper and think about it like this. Making marks is a real primal activity because there is something so satisfying about picking up a piece of material or an implement and creating a mark with it. Stand back, take a look at your marks. Give yourself time to see and feel the image, but not too long that you'll get stuck. Jump back in after no more than 10 seconds. This is the dance of going back and forth and interacting with your last mark. Grab a new material. Let your mark dance with the last one, either taking up new empty space or complementing the last mark with something more close. Art is an action that requires energy, and that energy needs to be transferred into your artwork. This big white piece of paper is a stage, a world where you are filling it with energy and expression. This is all about jumping in and making marks and responding to those marks, letting the artwork tell you what you're doing next. There is no creation without motion, so enjoy the process, sit back, and create more art. When you get to this point, you're going to step back and ask yourself these questions. What do you like about your lines? What do I want to keep? What do I want to embrace? What don't I like about this? What do I want to cover up? And what do I want to layer over? This is all about layering. This next part of the process is called obliterate and assert, and I got it from a fellow art educator, Chris Sikora. This process of asserting and obliterating will be repeated throughout the creation of your intuitive painting. When we obliterate it, we are taking a wide brush and covering up marks. This can be with white paint, gesso, or simply wiping something away with a napkin. Whatever pushes the mark back into the space. So I don't like this area, it's not working for me, then let's obliterate it. This is what layering is all about. Past marks can go away, and new paint layers and interacts in some way, making a new mark altogether. If I really like something, then let's assert it. This is an action of adding new marks, going back into an area to embrace it, highlight it, or adding something new and refreshing to that area. Maybe when you assert, you add a new tool, or maybe you have a new material that you really connect with, and let yourself play. The essence of creating is where you start to see an image develop that never existed before. Nothing is precious in this kind of art making. Don't be afraid to cover up areas. Don't be afraid to make a huge gesture. Layering is part of this process. We are just getting started in our intuitive painting. In the next video, we are going to explore how we can make mark making a little bit more interesting using non-traditional art materials.